In this video, you will learn how to use screen captures and still frame overlays of background, middle ground, and foreground footage to manually mask, feather, and manipulate video effects, all in the Procreate Dreams app. Watch as I show you how to use layer masking before it was even available in the app. Okay, so now we're going to pick up right where we left off from the previous video, which was part 1 of creating lightsaber effects in the Procreate Dreams app, which if you haven't seen yet, you should probably go check it out. The link is in the description below. In this video, we're going to use foreground layer masking to hide the lightsaber effect behind the head and body of our actor. Now, when I originally made these effects for this tutorial, I was using the old version 1.06, and layer masking was not available. The recent release of 1.07 now has some layer masking features. To do this, a few screenshots or still frames from the original footage will be needed. Now, you could just press the power and volume button simultaneously to capture a screenshot of your actor. Or you can turn on corner capture in the multitasking and gesture settings of your iPad. To turn on corner capture, go to Settings and select Multitasking and Gestures. Toggle the swipe finger from corner to on, and now you can quickly capture still frame screenshots with just the swipe. When using screen captures, it can be very helpful to crop the image as close to the edge of the video as possible before saving. Keep in mind that capturing full screen images will mean you have more work to do, having to remove the background by erasing it in either the Procreate app, the Dreams app, or whatever you might be using. A quicker option is to use the new system feature in the Photos app, which allows you to long press and hold the image you would like to select, and it will automatically remove the background just like this. You can quickly capture still frames by pausing your video and placing the playhead on the frame you want to capture. Then press and hold until the image shimmers, indicating that it is selected. Then switch to the app you would like to have it imported into. When imported into the Dreams app, it will automatically be placed onto its own track, where you can then use it as a foreground layer mask to hide the lightsaber or use it for other effects. Foreground layer masking, using a piece of the foreground to hide something in the middle ground. Once in the timeline and on the stage, you can manipulate and feather the edges of the still frame as needed to blend it into the footage. Think of it as a blanket, used to cover or mask a certain element of the footage. Now, using the eraser tool, you can erase everything except the specific shape needed. Then, by using keyframes, you can reposition, move, and scale the object so that it follows the movement of your actor. With the new update, you now have the option to use a non-destructive layer mask. Now, that would have made this whole process much easier when I first did it, had it been available. This means that you can turn on the layer mask and erase what you don't need for the effect, but then still have access to the full image if needed later, without having to re-import an additional still frame or screen capture. On the timeline, track the motion of the lightsaber. Determine the starting frame and ending frame of the effect. Be sure your imported foreground layer mask is in position on the timeline to cover all those frames. Move or reposition and extend the length of the clip on the track as needed, either left or right, making sure there is enough footage to accomplish the desired effect. Double tap the starting point of the foreground layer mask track to zoom in. You should be able to see indications of each frame. Use the action button to create a new keyframe. Move the object, making sure it covers the lightsaber. Create a new frame and reposition the object, or in this case, the head of the actor, as needed to hide the lightsaber. Repeat this process for each frame. You may find that you need to erase additional areas of the layer mask. Before doing so, be sure to use the action button to edit and split the foreground layer mask track. This will create a new clip independent from the others, allowing you to change it without affecting the previously established layer mask location or shape. Here is the finished results. Background layer masking, using a background image to hide something in the foreground. To hide or mask objects in the foreground and middle ground, you can use a still frame screen capture of the background. To create the effect of my hand being severed, I needed to hide my hand with a layer mask of the background image. Or I could just capture footage of my hand up my sleeve. Now I chose to hide my hand with a background layer mask, as it kept the fluidity of my movements. Create a screen capture of the background by watching your original video footage in the Photos app, press pause, and place the playhead on a frame that is only background footage. Capture that frame using power and volume click or corner swiping gesture. Save the new photo. Return to the Dreams app and import it as a new track. If it is smaller than your original video footage, you will need to resize it to match as perfectly as possible. You can do this by dragging one corner with your stylus or finger and then press, and while holding with another finger on the work area, you can drag the corner corner to enlarge it. This will constrain and hold the image centered, allowing it to lock into place, keeping it accurately positioned. Once resized and in the best position, enter Draw in Paint mode. You can temporarily reduce the opacity of the layer, allowing you to see through it. Here you will need to determine how much of the layer is needed to be able to hide the hand. Manually track the motion of the hand between all the frames that need to be hidden. Erase all of the background image that is not needed. You can use the new layer mask feature to non-destructively erase the background layer. The goal is to create a large enough blanket that will cover the hand from the start of the effect until the end of the effect. Now exit Draw in Paint mode. Return to the timeline and extend the screen captured background layer mask clip on its track, making sure it spans all of the frames needed to hide the hand. At the starting point of the effect, double tap until zoomed in and each frame is visibly observable. Move the playhead clapboard to the right one frame and tap the Action Edit button to split the clip. Now you have a single frame of the background layer mask. Tap that frame and return to Draw in Paint mode. Now erase more accurately around the area of the sleeve and hand. Be sure not to erase the blanketed area of the hand, only around the outside contour or perimeter of the hand, making sure that it remains covered. Reduce the size of the brush and accurately erase around the sleeve as needed. Feather the edges by using a soft edge brush. Now, increase the opacity of the layer to observe the illusion of the hand being covered. Look for any additional glitches or pixels that need to be cleaned up and erase them. Exit Draw in Paint mode. Return to the timeline, move the playhead to the right one frame, and use the Action button to edit and split that clip. This will create a second new frame independent of the others. Now tap that new frame, enter Draw in Paint mode, erase what is not needed, increase the opacity, check for areas that need cleaned up, return to the timeline, and repeat the process for each frame until the desired effect has been achieved. When using the background as a layer mask, it is important not to move or scale its size or position, as it may make it more noticeable during the end result, defeating the illusion of this effect. To create the illusion of the hand falling to the ground, I used the same basic principles that I just explained, except this time the hand becomes a movable and scalable object that has its own timeline track layer with keyframe control points. Working one frame at a time and making the necessary timing adjustments, the end result is a severed hand that appears to be falling to the ground. You can add color and effect as needed directly onto the hand layer in Draw in Paint mode. For that added illusion of gore, just add another track layer. Enter Draw in Paint mode, select a brush from the water brush collection, like Blotch or Mad Splash, and use flipbook mode to create a frame-by-frame animation of a certain type of fluid spurting out from the wrist. To create the smoke illusion, add a new track, enter Draw in Paint mode, switch to flipbook mode, and try using the Nebula brush from the Luminance collection. Working frame by frame, add the illusion of smoke growing and dissipating into the air. For one final touch to complete the illusion of the lightsaber effect, I added lightsaber reflections on the actor's face and glasses. Using the same techniques explained in the previous video, I simply added a new track layer, and within flipbook mode, I worked frame by frame to add the illusion of reflections. I hope you find this video tutorial useful. If you've been following along and you decide to share your work either here on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, or Twitter, be sure to tag me and let me know so I can see your work. Also, do not hesitate to leave comments or questions in the comments section below. Come on, reach out, because maybe I can help you out. If you're new here and you haven't seen any of my previous videos, then you definitely should go check those out. And if you like this video, click that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you don't miss what I do next, as I'll be making more videos just like this one. This is Brandon from Artismia. Keep practicing, and we'll see you next time.